Good morning, everybody. I hope you enjoy your stay here in Stockholm. Thank you, Cecilia, for this nice and well-organized congress. My name is Eva Jonsson, and I work as curator at the National Historical Museums in the Economy Museum Royal Coin Collections. The National Historical Museums consist of total of 7 museums, of which Economy Museum is one. And we share a lot of things like administration and also database. And I will present briefly the digitization project that we had 2023, last year, and especially my own part in that project. Digitization means transformation of information from analog to digital form. And the National Historical Museums have the assignment to digitally register items which currently are listed only in analog form. Why do we do this? Of course, to make the cultural heritage managed by us accessible globally. In this picture, you see a list of Viking Age German coins found in Scania in 1842, and this is a typical example of situation when digitizing the item is urgently needed. At the same time, when we register the items, we also photograph all of them, and the object images are made available with licenses, which means that the images can be used for research, teaching, for illustrations, in publications, and such things. Of course, digitization increased the traceability of the collections. At the same time, when we registered items, they also get a proper place in the collections. And digitization helps us to detect and prevent theft. When we go through the collections systematically like this, we can detect if something is missing, and also when the pictures are available online, this is one way preventing theft. Not the only way, but still it's important. Today, our collections consist of more than 650,000 objects from all over the world and all times. Approximately 1,100 objects have been digitized. The level of information varies a lot. And in 2023, the government allocated special funds for digitalization. And these funds were directed to the Royal Coin Cabinet, the Tumba Paper Mill Museum, and the archaeological collection, which most urgently need to be digitized. My own part in this project was also financed by the museum and the Gunnar Ekström Foundation for the Numismatic Research. We were totally 3 persons at the Royal Coin Cabinet working with digitization. 1 person digitized ancient Greece and Roman coins. 1 digitized royal medals, and myself, I digitized Bror Emil Hildebrand's collection of Viking Age English coins, which is the largest systematic collection of its kind in the world. The name of the collection, Bror Emil Hildebrand's collection, does not mean that it would have been his private collection. But he was the head of the coin cabinet, and what he did was that he created a huge systematic collection out of the coins in the Royal Coin Cabinet. And he also published this collection 2 times, in 1846, and a new extended edition was published in 1881. Today, this collection consists of just over 1,500 coins, of which about 10% are later additions. And this is how a single coin looks like if you search for Hildebrand number 202 in our database. There is rather much information, I think. The king, type, date, mint, money, weight, and also accurate literature references. And it was a sort of a challenge to find a right balance between different demands, because what was expected of us who worked in this digitization project was that we must produce as many, we must produce as much as possible, meaning that we must register as many coins as possible, and at the same time to keep a high quality standard. And of course, this 1881 publication needed to be updated. I want to thank the Numismatic Institute of the Stockholm University, who provided me with important information, for example, regarding means. It took pretty much 1 year for me to digitize this collection, so I think that we found good balance between these two demands. Yes, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for having us today. We are very happy to be here. 9 years ago, one of us has tried to give a picture of the numismatic landscape in Switzerland by following several generations of biographies in our field. The reason why this way was chosen is simple. Switzerland is not a country with a big central city and many subcenters or peripheries. It is quite on the contrary, a country with many small and medium central places, and foremost, it has no dominating agglomeration at all. In addition, there are free main languages and free intellectual cultures as well, which means that intellectual work and university studies are shaped by influences from abroad. These cultural and intellectual influences have been accentuated in the last 2 decades. In the German-speaking part of Switzerland, for example, more than half of the university chairs in humanities are held by professors from abroad, mainly Germany. The other 2 French and Italian-speaking parts are less touched by France or Italy, but still influenced. This phenomenon has also begun to shape the museums as well, mainly on the directorial, but also on the curatorial level. In 2015, a strong point has been made on following the individual biographies, but also the network they are part of. This is the true institutional structure in our field, a group of important numismatic collections, of which none is much bigger than the others. There are about 10 numismatic museums with professional staff, all ranging from 30 or 40,000 to 100,000 objects. Most of these collections have a specific focus of collecting, which is defined by their mother institution. In all but one case, these are historical, archaeological, ethnological, or arts museums on the level of the cantons, which are in the federal political system mainly responsible for cultural matters. Only one institution, the Winterthur Coin Cabinet, is an independent city museum. Still, individual biographies are very much shaping the small numismatic world, and it would be possible to further develop the picture outline in 2015. A broad network of collections together with many personal interactions. We have, however, chosen to expand this view due to the recent and very important development in the field of digital numismatics, which is strongly influencing the Swiss numismatic landscape, as Switzerland is linked and quite active within the international developments of digital numismatics. All major numismatics collections, and most of the small ones, have now shifted to digital catalogues, but only few have so far made the main steps to transform their databases to real online tools. The main reasons are their integration and dependence to museum-wide strategies and software, which in many cases are not ready to deal with standardized numismatic data, or in other words, with norm data set. This is somewhat strange, as, on the other side, some Swiss numismatic institutions are quite active in international collaborations. At the forefront, the Swiss Inventory of Coin Finds, called IFS, is an institution of the Swiss Academy of Humanities and Social Sciences. The IFS is collaborating actively together with the Swiss National Museum in the main international working groups like NOMISMA, ECFN, DARIA, especially in the development of norm data.
The Winterthur coin cabinet is, on the other hand, at the forefront of collaborative international online resources with linked open data, LOD. It is an anchor partner of the ICOMON network, which includes about 45 numismatic collections in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. ICOMON is providing LOD data to, or the Winterthur Coin Cabinet is providing LOD data to now 10 international portals like OCO, CRRO, SCO, Pella, Bigger, and others. It is somewhat strange, however, that this small museum has at the moment the only online portal in Switzerland based on linked open data of any museum. Why is that? It is partially a problem of the domination of some commercial software products. For example, the software Museum Plus is not only widely used in museums' collections, but it has also a reputation of not being very open to LOD for purely commercial reasons. Another reason is the local development of collection databases by every institution separately. There are important collections like the Swiss National Museum in Zurich or the Historisches Museum Basel, which all deal for quite a long time with digital inventories, but with in-house, insulated software. Their online portals are not open to LOD up to today. The same is true for the Swiss meta portal Museums Online, where every search results of more than 100 museums leads directly to the local databases. There are no meta normed data. These online portals contain altogether a lot of numismatic material, and some of them are quite powerful. What is lacking, however, is any kind of common definitions in the form of norm data and therefore of LOD. Every museum is literally building its own thesauri. This is the main reason why no coin numismatic collection, apart from Winterthur, is yet able to link itself broadly to the international portals. Internal problems are adding to it. If we take the example of the Cantonal Museum of Archaeology and History in Lausanne, putting the collections online was a political request. The museum has just changed the database from Museum Plus away to Flora, a French program. A desire to use LOD has been strongly pressed since the start of the project. But a lack of resources, advices, and the exhaustion of the museum staff make LOD no longer a priority, even though it remains essential for the scientific community. So, not only software like Museum Plus is a barrier for collaborative databases, but also a lack of understanding from the museum's authorities. Separated data silos are the result. They are not really able to interact. What can the numismatic community in Switzerland do? The above-mentioned spell of Museum Plus might be a chance for the numismatic community in Switzerland because it is quite well connected. As everyone has the same problems with software, coordination, and also understanding of the interoperability of databases, there might be a good chance to find common solutions. A long-standing conference of curators of numismatic collections in Switzerland has been reactivated, driven by the challenge of digital collection management, where at the moment a lot of money is spent for big digitization projects by the authorities. Another promising project is called OSCAR, a portal for a new digital typology of the Swiss coinage from the 6th century to the 21st century, hosted by the Swiss National Museum. Its steering committee includes the 5 most important collections of Swiss coins, and its design is based on LOD and therefore on norm data. Thus, OSCAR is not only providing the numismatic material, at the moment mainly of Zurich and Winterthur, of the Zurich and Winterthur collection, but it also and mainly is developing norm data for this material of about 60 mints and 1500 years of coinage. What can be done in addition? First, it is important to strengthen exchange and collaboration concerning the norm of data all of us need. Institutions like the EFS are important and are doing a lot, but the 5 to 8 important numismatic museums should take the leading part of it too, because they host the main reference collections for every kind of norm data needed. Second, much effort must be invested in stressing software developers to include LOD as standard and not as an exception. Part of it is the interoperability of the software through the channel of linked open data, and therefore building real metadatabases, that is, interlinked data networks. Third, the international cooperation should not only be maintained but enforced. As Nomisma for norm data and ICOMON as the network with the broadest range of numismatic fields using it are not concurring but complementary concerning norm data. Closer collaboration is needed, therefore. Nomisma.org, for example, is very strong on ancient numismatics, while ICOMON includes much more medieval and modern norm data and is strongly linked with the repositories of biographical data, which are part of provenance studies and collection or object history as well. When it comes to biographies, the one thing is the institutional collaboration, the exchange of collections, museums, and the scientific community on a formal level. The other, and more important and effective effort is, in a small country and in an even smaller community, the network of persons, the constant exchange of collaborators and the close cooperation of individuals. Here lies, given the development of the Swiss numismatic landscape in the last decade, the most important potential to achieve goals. Within the younger generation, it has become normal to work at more than one place or institution. It's also normal in Switzerland that nearly all people are working part-time, so they can divide their time between 2 institutions normally. Here lies, given the development of the Swiss numismatic landscape in the last decade, the most important potential to achieve goals. Within the younger generation, it has become normal to work at more than one place or institution. So there's a flow of persons collecting experience and expanding the network which already exists between the museums, the universities, and the EFS with the Academy of Humanities. This should lead to the development of a kind of common sense of what should be achieved. Thus, the small scene of numismatics could be an even more lively and broad network of driving forward numismatics on the Swiss level as well as on the international level. Thank you very much.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with all of you today. Thank you for having me. My name is Jennifer Glody. I'm the collections manager of the National Numismatic Collection at the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of American History. Together with my colleagues, Dr. Ellen Feingold and Alicia Ankin, we steward a global collection of approximately 1.6 million objects, including the collections of record for the United States Mint, Treasury, and Bureau of Engraving and Printing. This collection is a public resource and has huge potential for research, so we want to share it as much as possible. We aim to be as digitally and physically accessible as possible while maintaining the safety and security of the objects. Additionally, the Smithsonian Institution, which in total is comprised of 21 museums, 14 education and research centers, and a zoo, has a goal to reach 1 billion people a year with a digital-first strategy. This means we're investing in our digital technologies and platforms to help people better access the collections. We in numismatics have contributed to this goal over the last 9 or so years by digitizing over 330,000 objects and sharing those images freely online. To accomplish this, we have employed a range of models and developed collaborations with academic institutions and museums, other Smithsonian units, and individual partners. Due to the Smithsonian's funding structure, collaborations are almost always necessary for digitization projects. So this has made us really pursue and embrace these collaborative opportunities. Our projects have ranged from a few hundred objects at a time to tens of thousands. Regardless of the size of the project, a key part of the process involves determining our intended audience, considering their needs, and what methods are going to be most effective to reach them. So in this presentation, I'll provide some examples of the models we use, how we share the material digitally on a range of platforms, and how our collaborators have enriched our efforts to reach a global audience. I'll also touch on how our digitization efforts specifically reach students and teachers via the Smithsonian's education platform called Learning Lab. Now, I'll be mentioning Learning Lab a lot throughout this, so I want to start by telling you what that is. Learning Lab is a Smithsonian-wide platform primarily designed for teachers and students. This site gathers objects, blogs, articles, and videos from across all Smithsonian units. It also allows people to upload their own images, link to other websites, and more. With these many resources, users can create groups called labs that can then be made into lesson plans or mini exhibitions. Anyone can use this site, including all of you. All you need is an email address to create an account. We have found that Learning Lab is a great way for us to package the material we digitize so that teachers can bring it into classrooms. It's a great tool because it can be tailored to a very specific audience. You can mark what grade level your lab is appropriate for, or can tag it with specific subjects so that they're easier for people to find. This slide shows the homepage of Learning Lab on the left, and on the right is a lab that we put together with some of our American paper money about the US Civil War. This is just to give you an idea of what these labs can look like, though they are customizable and can look many different ways. So back to the digitization projects. One of our first external collaborations regarding digitization was with the London School of Economics. My colleague, curator Ellen Feingold, and Lee Gardner of the LSE applied to the LSE's Knowledge Exchange and Impact Fund for a grant to digitize our West African objects. Ellen and Lee had both published on West Africa before, so they knew that freely accessible images were needed by scholars like themselves. They received the funding, and I got to work cataloging and digitizing the 880 objects. This digitization was done on the copy stand setup that you see here. The camera is mounted directly over the object. We take one photo of each side, and we have adjustable lighting. Ellen and Lee provided contextual labels for many objects and helped me identify the proper place names and terms for cataloging. All of the objects are now available on our museum's collections website, a small screenshot of which is in the lower right corner here. Using the newly digitized objects and content written by Ellen and Lee, we put together 5 different learning labs, mostly geared toward high school level education. These are searchable on the Learning Lab site, and Ellen and Lee shared them out through their networks. The success of this West Africa project led them to apply again for funding to digitize our South African collection. And this time they added a partnership with Stellenbosch University in South Africa. Again, I digitized the objects, about 700 this time, and Ellen and her colleagues shared them widely. As part of the collaboration with Stellenbosch University, I introduced one of their graduate students to Learning Lab and walked her through the process of creating one. She then created 4 learning labs tailored to South African school curriculum. So this was a great way for us to be able to bring our collection directly to the region that it came from. We've also collaborated on projects with other Smithsonian units. We are fortunate that because the Smithsonian is so large, there are many partners we can collaborate with to accomplish our goals. We've done 2 mass digitization projects with the Smithsonian's Digitization Program Office, which is part of the Central Smithsonian, so they work across the whole institution rather than with one museum. The first was to digitize about 270,000 currency proof sheets. The second and more recent project was to digitize 3 prominent collections totaling about 25,000 objects, and I'm just going to talk about this second project. So in this instance, the Digitization Program Office came to us and asked if we had any large-scale projects in mind. As a team, we thought carefully about what collections to digitize and decided on the Josiah K. Lilly Jr. collection, Paul A. Straub collection, and Grand Duke George Mihalovich collection. We knew that there was an audience who wanted this material from the many inquiries that we would get about them. These are 3 very significant collections and are well known by collectors in the US and abroad. People needed access to the images and descriptions of these objects for their research, and the best way we found to deliver that was through putting everything on our online catalog. Working closely with the Digitization Office, we developed a plan for how to digitize these coins and medals. Now, this group that we were working with has no specific knowledge of numismatics. They are strictly digitization experts. So as partners, we needed to both be willing to learn from each other and find a way to align our goals. We decided the numismatics team would prepare the catalog records and stage the objects in an organized way, and the digitization office would prepare the equipment and contractors to carry out the digitization. After months of preparation, we began the project, and over the course of about 6 months, we completed these 25,000 objects. The equipment was set up in our storage room. It was similar to what I showed on the previous slide, but a bit more advanced. You can see just a bit of that in the photo here. This is a screen grab from a short video about the project. It was a significant achievement to have all of these objects digitized, and the photos are on our online catalog, so they're available for all to see. We shared this news to the numismatic community in the US through newsletters and talks, but taking it further, we also trialed a collaboration with JSTOR, the academic digital library, to encourage people to use these objects in their research. That was just a temporary trial, but it was worthwhile to understand if it was an effective way of reaching people. We discovered it was ultimately not quite as effective as we had hoped. The third and final type of collaboration that I'll briefly highlight is collaboration with individual partners. We've worked with a number of individuals to digitize and share specific parts of the collection. Now, sometimes these individuals are purely funders, but other times they are able to assist with object identifications during the cataloging and digitization process. Either way, they're important partners for us, and we're so grateful to their contributions. So in addition to sending these projects out to our networks as we complete them, something that we do to share all of our projects is to post them on our National Numismatic Collection website, which is on the museum's larger website. Interested parties are able to find out more about the collection, our staff, and the projects that we're doing. We also have pages about our exhibitions, as well as links to the online versions of those exhibitions. This has been an excellent place for us to share all of our digitization projects and link all of those learning labs and blogs, articles, and any other things that we would like. I update this regularly so the information is as current as possible. And as much as we try to put our projects out into the world and reach specific audiences where they are, we've found that it's useful also to have this hub for people to come find everything. So to conclude, my role in these projects is not as the content expert, but I do have expert knowledge of the collection and its needs. So working closely with my colleague Ellen Feingold and these other collaborators has allowed us all to bring our complementary skill sets and contribute our expertise and knowledge to build a stronger project and final product. In each of these instances, I find that the planning stage has been incredibly important for us. Listening to each other, being flexible where possible, and iterating have been key parts of our process. I've found these collaborations to be truly rewarding. As Cecilia was saying, they're fun. Digitizing and sharing the collection is important for many reasons, but the products are stronger when we work together and draw on each other's strengths. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Elena Baldi. I work at Princeton University with Professor Alan Stahl, who couldn't be present today. Alan is a curator of numismatic at Princeton University. This is my title, which is Byzantine Numismatic Cataloger, and also linked Open Data Coordinator. And this is the part I'm going to present to you today together with our institutions, and I'll show you in a second. We are creating an online coin of the database of the Byzantine Empire, depending which part of the English world you come from. And the organization involved are these. So we have Princeton University with myself and Professor Stahl, Dumbarton Oaks, with Ivan Maric and Jonathan Shea. The Ashmolean Museum is involved with oh gosh, Julian Baker, I couldn't say it, and the American Numismatic Society has been the first one involved in this project, thanks to the summer school project that Tina Rasalle, who's not involved anymore, did. And now recently we have added the University of Trieste with Bruno Calaguer and his team. So from the beginning, we are talking about digitization of the catalogs of the Byzantine coins. These are the Dumbarton Oaks catalogs, as well as hand money of the incipient Byzantine Empire. So this is almost 1,000 years of history, which is split up between the 3 or 4 of us. And so the Dumbarton Oaks, for example, is dealing with the central part of the empire. I'm dealing with the end, Alexius I until the end. And the database that is now being taken over by the University of Trieste is the one created by Tina Rasalle and is going to be implemented by them. And it is with the first 2 volumes of Han, basically, up to focus. So our online resource is heavily resembling what, in fact, one of them, the BIGR, the BIG, is going to be discussed later. So of these other online resources, this is only an example, that are hosted by the American Numismatic Society. And these are, again, also digitized catalogs that are very useful for studying and for the public, as well as for researchers to use. Some of our students, for example, use extensively OCA. And this is what, this is 2 portals from the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire online coins, and our digital portal is going to be something in the line of these. So our project is based heavily, is collaborating with Numisma. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, as it's been already mentioned, Numisma is not a digital catalog, but it's just a resource that helps us with ontology, with creating fixed HTTPS URI links that allow collaboration and allow institutions to use these ontology these terms to be used throughout the world. So we have, for example, URIs for Electrum, for legend, what is a legend, or for the Mint of Constantinople, Constantinopolis as a deity, or even for concepts as Byzantine or Byzantine numismatics. The work that what Numisma allows us to do is to cross-reference information. So we have finds and linking data, the hoards information, the catalogs, the corpora, and the collections from different institutions that can all just be joined together and be understood and be seen, visible digitally to public and scholars. So what we did, we had to create an infrastructure, and it has already been mentioned before. Numisma was very strong on earlier periods, but not so much on medieval. Now it is definitely with Oscar, for example, and what has been already discussed for ICOMON, I don't say that in German, but so we have been able to implement URIs, a link to every single emperor of the Byzantine Empire, as well as their wives and children. Whoever happens to appear on a coin we have created links for that. And the second link we have here, and as an example, allows it to standardize also this, for example, this denomination. This denomination, we decided to call it Billon Trachy, but throughout corpora is called Trachea, Trachy, Asper, Aspron. So whatever you want to call it in your collection, then it will refer to this one, to this Numisma link. So everything is standardized to this concept. So this is an example of what we have been creating. You can see there is a small list, I think it's at least 200 entries altogether. We have the different Irenes, we have, for example, Martina, who never reigned but appears on coins, is also mentioned, and we can link to that. And what does this work allow to build this infrastructure that is similar, as I said, to OCA, for example. In OCA, we have 180,000. This is one of the last slides, is quite updated. Coins from 56 contributors. And contributors, as you can see the list, this is again a small sample, can come from any part of the world. Byzantine coins are found throughout the Mediterranean Empire, but they're also found in Scandinavia, they're found in England, they're found in many countries in Africa, in Asia as well. So any institution that can contribute to that. And so the example can be this one. This is a coin of manual from the American Numismatic Society, and this is already linked to numisma. These little tiny arrows here are just already the links that are using numisma, so eventually they will be able to appear on our portal. And this is instead an example from the same coin from Manuel I, but from the Dumbarton Oaks. And you can see even the type of information is different. And also this is one of our coins I digitized myself, and the information again is slightly different, and we are not linked yet to numisma. We are in the process of linking all our data to numisma. And the final product, this is an example again from OCA, will be this one, where we have one type, and it will be shown, all the information will be shown about that specific type, and then we have different institutions. In this case, it's the Münzcabinet, or it is the INS. So you can see all the same type from different institutions in the same page. But then if you wanted to click on the Münzcabinet, you would be able to link into directly the specific coin, and or for the ANS. So you will have the freedom to check, you can work, why do we do this? Because as, with the Roman coinage, you will be able to work on typology, you will be able to work on distribution, on sometimes origin. The OCA also has the Portable Antiquity Scheme contributing to that, which is a scheme in England where objects from metal detectors, and also are included. And what we want to do, and especially the collaboration with the University of Trieste is going to bring that, we would like to insert also archaeological finds. And Trieste already has a large database they are creating just for archaeological finds of the Byzantine Empire from everywhere in the Mediterranean, or again the standard areas of finds of the Byzantine coins. And so these are going to be also available for typology. And it is very useful. As I say, my students, when they try to identify, they're not numismatists, but they try to identify coins, they use this database extensively. And that would be, that's the usefulness of the tool also for Byzantine coins. So this is me done, and thank you. And
thank you very much to the organisers. This has been wonderful already. We're only 2 hours in, so I'm sure it will keep getting better and better. Thank you very much for organising everything. Thank you very much for providing such an enormous screen on which to talk about something called Bigger. This is a title that allows us all sorts of potential for jokes inadvertently and sometimes advertently, so I've tried to get the first one out of the way, so hopefully that won't come back. Thank you also actually to Elena. You've just set up very nicely linked open data, how this all works, how portals that bring together numismatic material on a typology level rather than the collection level, which we've heard about earlier as well, look and function. So I think we'll be going through this fairly quickly. Thank you very much. So the other thing that's very difficult to do in these sorts of presentations is to demonstrate a website. If you have the chance, please do go and look at the website rather than screenshots on no matter how big the screen is, to see how these things work and to click on things and play around with them. And we really would like feedback from people, because a lot of the focus of our typology is to try and increase accessibility of these coinages, particularly the ones we're working on. So that leads me to talk about what Greco-Bactrian and Indo-Greek coinage is. So here is a nice map. Bigger, by the way, stands for coins of, understood, the Bactrian and Indo-Greek rulers. These are people who produced coins in an area of Central Asia which comprises bits of northeastern Iran, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Pakistan, over a period from the 250s BCE to sometime in the 1st century CE. There are a couple of modern cities here with green dots, but you will notice also that there are some sites that have archaeological importance. ICOMON, famously, Taxila, and Bactria in the middle there are all places. The archaeology is very poorly understood. Only very small numbers of sites are excavated, and a lot of the evidence for this period comes from coins, which is one of the reasons that we've put together this database. So, what do the coins look like? Well, they tend to be quite nice. You may have come across the one in the top right-hand corner before, which we'll come back to. But initially, starting on the left-hand side, a coin there of Diodotus I from the middle of the 3rd century BCE. Presented looking like a Hellenistic king from this part of the world. These coinages start with the appearance of Alexander the Great in Central Asia. He sets a model for what coinages look like. We see there Diodotus with a diadem and Zeus on the back throwing a thunderbolt. Things start to change a little bit as we go along. You will notice that the dates are all rather vague. This is one of the problems that you have when you only have coins for evidence, and we have been very clear in creating this typology that we are not going to assign specific dates because we don't know them. We know that Eucratides up here reigned in the middle of the 2nd century BC, but we haven't given him numerical dates. You may also have noticed that we've sometimes decided that we can't make up our minds about which king made these coins. So that coin at the top left-hand side is either Diodotus I or Diodotus II. Likewise, down here, we have Strato II or Strato III. Trying to build in some of this uncertainty into this typology has been one of the central driving focuses of what we've done. And change throughout this period. They look quite different in some cases. Apollodotus I doesn't have a portrait. He has bilingual coins and they are rectangular. And Apollodotus II goes back to a different series. There's quite a variety. Again, do please go and browse. And some of the challenges that we have encountered. We were very, very grateful at the start of the project. One of our collaborations was with the State Bank Museum of Pakistan, and we're extremely grateful to Dr. Ibrahim for producing the Urdu translations. This means that, for example, you can now look at ochre in an interface which is in Urdu. So thank you very much. And the same in bigger. This is another benefit of linked open data, allowing you to view things in different languages. There is some overlap with Seleucid coins online. We decided that we would follow the model of Jens Jakobsen in assigning, who in fact created a new king. Our understanding of this series is so poor that we're still not sure how many kings there were. So we have different interpretations from other existing portals. Again, not a problem with linked open data because everything is all linked together. And we have a lot of uncertainty. We didn't really make up our mind about denominations, or find spots, or rulers, or imitations, or mints, or dates. That makes it sound like we didn't do anything for 2 years, doesn't it? And so, built into this, we didn't specifically use names of denominations. We have a different system that we created. Find spots are quite different because a lot of them are not necessarily recorded. Imitations is a difficult matter. Mints, we didn't even decide on mints for these coins. Previous catalogues have mints specifically listed. We have very clearly avoided this. And this is otherwise part of what we hope this will bring about. It will make a lot of data accessible. We've catalogued and digitized a lot of coins that were not previously available online. and hopefully this will allow further research to maybe make a better understanding of what might be going on with some of these issues. And so Elena has already shown you the NumaShare interface. We saw it for Ochre. This is a zoomed in version for the type of a particular coin of Agathocles II, of Agathocles, sorry, type number 20 in our catalogue. You'll see he's given a vague date of the early 2nd century BC. The denomination is an uncertain value. It's not, in fact, a silver coin, so I'll just write that down for a mistake. You'll see that it's rectangular, and most importantly here we have transcriptions of the legends to try and improve accessibility. Not everyone reads Greek, not everyone reads Brahmi, surprisingly enough, and we have there both Unicode fonts for Brahmi, which was something that's been very important to include, and also a transliteration there of the legend. And I think we need to...
Yeah. So one thing for clarification is, unlike SCO, PCO, we didn't work from an existing catalog into the database. We created the database out of pure chance and nowhere, and then...
Skill.
Skill, of course, skill. Extremely skilled, blood, tears, and everything you can imagine. But so we worked the other way around. There was no catalog to start from. We created the typology online and will eventually turn this into, hopefully, inshallah, a written catalog. When you don't have mints and you're not sure about kings after which to order these coins, monograms are one of the few things you might be able to discern on the coins you're working with. So there is an interface where you can search by the monograms. If you find a coin in an excavation, you can read the monogram. You will be able to get a linkage through the coins, through the monogram on coins into the kings that are connected to these coins. This is just a short overview. There were two typologies and catalogs on Bactrian and Indo-Greek kings before, one by Michener from the 70s, one by Barbaracci, 1991, I think. And you see, regarding the political circumstances in Central Asia during the last 20, 30 years, the number of types and coins that appeared via market with new types is immense. So we more than doubled the types for Diodotus and the first 3 Bactrian kings. All in all, it's still an impressive rise in types that can be found. Contributors, biggest contributor is the ANS, BM, following Ashmolean, Paris. Very glad to have the Amsterdam coins, the colleagues are here, included. Berlin will make a jump in the next weeks. The collection is identified. Three-fourths of the collections are already worked on. These will be shortly available in the bigger, so Berlin will follow up after Paris. If you have Bactrian Indo-Greek coins in your collection and you can provide them either with a stable URI, please let us know. If you're not able to provide them with a stable URI, also let us know. We will try to find ways to include them here so that your collection will be more public and more researchable for people from all over the world. This is the project team. I think we're perfectly in time. Thank you very much.
So, as I mentioned before, in June this year, we opened the doors to our new permanent exhibitions. And this marks the final chapter of our move from the old town that began in 2016. And it's pretty rare for a museum like ours to move like this and have the opportunity to rebuild exhibitions from the beginning, from scratch. And this also gave us a chance to reimagine our foundations, and it allowed us to reflect on what worked well in the past and what we needed to redefine and change in our exhibitions. Early on in this process of thinking what our museum is going to be, we identified 3 guiding principles that would shape our new exhibitions. And in the very core, it's people. Money is about people, it's about relationships, about communications and actions between individuals, both today but also throughout history. But it's also about you as a visitor. You are the center of our efforts. Whether you come with deep knowledge in economy or in numismatics, or if you're just simply curious, we want you to leave feeling engaged and enriched. And of course, our collections. We have one of Sweden's, or perhaps Sweden's oldest museum collection, starting in 1572 and now containing about 650,000 objects. And we want to tell history combined with our objects, of course. And we want to show our objects in a meaningful context. So this is one of our real cornerstones, of course. And then finally, economic education. We live in a world with many economic challenges. Fundamental knowledge about how money and economy functions is really essential, not just for you to manage your own personal finances, but also for building a democratic and socially sustainable society. So we strive to create exhibitions that spark curiosity, a desire to learn, explore, and reflect on the world around us. Our exhibitions are on 2 floors. And on the lower floor, you will find the exhibition that is called Money, or Pengar in Swedish. It is an exhibition that wants to reveal how money and economy have shaped society and people's lives over the centuries. This exhibition is intended for a broad audience. Anyone interested in exploring how economy has influenced, especially Sweden's development, and about 3,000 objects are displayed here. And on the lower floor, the upper floor, we have what we call the Economy Lab, which focus on everyday economy. It's designed especially for school students from middle school to upper secondary school, but it's also a place for families and anyone interested in learning more about managing money and daily life. So we have the dilemma questions along with interactive stations and hands-on activities. And we want this to challenge you to think critically about how money plays a role in almost every aspect of our lives, from the morning when you go up and brush your teeth to charging your phone. You're always a part of economy.
Thank you, Cecilia. So as not an expert in numismatics, it was a great pleasure to listen to your talks this morning and really learn about the power of the digital and the database, because this is something the public doesn't know about necessarily. I design exhibitions about all subjects. And I was thinking while you were talking, I was just in the Arctic in Norway last week with marine biologists cataloging whale tails, because those are the identifying features of whales that can identify an individual. And they share their database with colleagues all over the world, because whales also travel for thousands of kilometers. So is my whale showing up in your neighborhood? They talk to each other. But I just wanted to point out that their work is very different than yours, making a database. They have to go in a small rubber boat 30 kilometers out into the Arctic Sea and getting wet, and they might not have their camera out at the right moment when the tail comes. So please be happy with your very comfortable office situation, despite the pressures of the authorities. I think what you're doing is very important. Anyway, Cecilia and I and her team and my team have worked together for years. It was a pandemic project. We worked online, we worked here. And I have to say, at the opening, our team sat together and we said, you know what, we've never even seen a Swedish crown. And it's not that she didn't pay us. What I meant was we never had one in our hand, because everything's digital. It's all apps. And we thought, well, doesn't that make this even more important, that the next generation won't even know what a coin is? You know, I think of my son. And how the economy has changed and through history is also something I think people don't realize, that monetary instruments have evolved along with society and along with our cultural development. We aimed to create a very bright and interactive environment. The collection is still there. The coin cabinet, I think Cecilia and her team said, we don't want to be a dark and kind of a didactic space. We want to be open and light-filled, interactive, and invite the visitor in to participate. So we chose a kind of color palette that is, I think our team called it a prismatic travel through history, but it actually kind of looks like the banknotes of the Swedish crown, incidentally. And we mixed materials, colors, typography, and lots of interactive media to explain. What you'll see is that the epochs are divided up with a big graphic kind of mural, and then individual stations with the showcases, with the collections. We had to reuse the historic showcases, which are, you know, armored cases, and the museum provided. We integrated them in. So what you have is a rich environment mixing incredible historic collections, which are very carefully presented in secure showcases, and a kind of storytelling environment, and an interaction by the visitor as you go through. Right at the beginning, in the entry hall, you realize you, as a visitor walking into the exhibition, are a part of the story. There's literally an animated silhouette figure that follows you in as if it's your shadow, and it triggers a chain reaction of events that are the economy. Every choice we make every day is a part of the economic system. One thing, I have a huge opportunity here as a designer to ask all of you for your opinion on something. In this room, you'll find an Athenian coin made of electra, this alloy of silver and gold. And our lighting designer had a technique to use both warm and cold light on the presentation of this and other coins. And the warm light makes a cold shadow, the cold light makes a warm shadow, and it increases the relief and spectrum of the coin. So I'd like to just hear back your feedback on how successful that is. As we move into the exhibit, as I described, it's a rich mixture of collections and interactive exhibits. And we really believe that the visitor finding themselves and also finding place for intergenerational dialogue between parent and child or teacher and child is really, really important to the museum experience. So we have hands-on exhibits, touchable artifacts. We have a giant copper coin, which you can try and lift. We have games and other things in addition to the collections. And upstairs, as Cecilia said, the economy lab. And in 2 hours yesterday, I saw several student groups, 30 high school kids, going through this, sitting down and talking about coins and the economy and history and finding their place in this story to, as Cecilia said, become more active participants in the economy in the future. And I think that's what we want to remember. A museum exhibition has a purpose. It has a relevance, and we need to find techniques and ways to use the historic collections in a framework that the visitor can understand their place and their meaning in this history. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions when we go into the exhibit.